guys, thanks for watching, and thank you to all the new subscribers we've had lately. It's been about 20 days since I last got a video up, and that's longer than I like. I'm in the process of moving and getting ready to build a house, and while I was moving, I found out that I'm old and out of shape, and I destroyed my back. So some of the clips in this video, you're going to probably hear more grunting and groaning than you will be comfortable with, and I apologize for that, but the old back's pretty tender. I need some help. You guys are going to be part of this story. You know that as I hunt for artifacts or metal detect or look for bottles, I want to find all the history. I want to uncover the story behind each little piece. And I've got an artifact that's left me with more questions than answers. I'm hoping some of you have the answers that I need. So if you have an idea about the questions that I have concerning this artifact, please leave me a comment. If we can get this thing figured out, I'll post an update video. All right, let's go check out some artifacts from a little garden right here in Western North Carolina. This makes an artifact hunter just intensely happy. Oh, come on down, Rain. Wash them rocks off. Oh boy, that rain made all the pretty colors pop. Starting to see some flint showing up, and look at that. That would have been a nice one. Sheared right off though. Maybe one day I'll find the rest of it. Well, I got something, a piece of something I don't think I've ever found. I think that's the end of a drill. Never have found a drill. That's something that's pretty high on the old bucket list. But that's what I believe is a broken off piece. It's been worked anyway. Ooh boy, we may have a good one here. It's either a good one or a faker. It's not as washed off as what I expect, but I think that's one. That right there is an unnatural turn of events. Oh, boy, does it feel nice to find one intact. Look at that. We'll have to wash that off appropriately. That looks like it survived a plow attack or two. That's nice. All right. Cool knife blade. I've actually been looking for a piece like this. I call it a knife blade. I think that it's not the same. I think it's a knife blade. And I've been looking for one because I want a haft one. Kind of the old-fashioned way. That may be the candidate right there. All right. See what else we can find. Fat boy technique right here. Got an artifact. I already looked at it. Check this out. Oh my goodness. Don't even have to bend over for it. That's what I'm talking about. So, got a little piece of flint. It's actually a point. Kind of cool looking. Modeled. Right there's the ear, and there's where the little base snapped off. So it was a blunt little dude. Well, I like the colors on it. Alright, may have something right up here. Can't tell. I see a triangle shape. It's caught my eye. Could this be a rock? It's just a rock. Alright. I'll pull you back out of my pocket if I see something else. I think I've got one more here. I've not touched this one yet. It looks like a Mora. Oh yeah, that's a nice one. That one's got a needle tip on it. Wow. And a little bit of color to it too. That's probably one of the nicest Morrow Mountains I've ever found. Well, very sharp. All right, that one's gonna clean up pretty. Well, if that's not just a funny flake, it's gonna make me cry. Pretty sure that's the base of a red arrowhead, and I've been chasing that material for a long time. Oh man. Oop, let me back you out here. I'm not totally sure what that is. I mean, I guess it's quartz, but man, it's just a pretty red color. Why'd you have to go and break that one, Plow? It'll still make it to the old collection though. Pretty color. All right, got one of those woodland points showing up. I'd say about 90% of them are broke off. So, what do you think? Can we get a whole one? Snapped yet again. Pretty base on that thing though. Got a little more mountain point poking up right here. By far one of the more common points in the area. I'd say that's probably at least about half of the points I find are probably more mountain. Got that one neat little shoulder coming off that deal. All right. Check it out. Oh, what have we got here? Look at that. Dang if that don't look like a flute. Gonna wash this one off and take a closer look. It's a material I like. All right, we got it cleaned off a little bit here. Let's take a good close look at this critter. That is not a material I am used to seeing at all. I have seen little flakes in this one particular garden that are that color. I'm sorry, I got horseflies biting me like crazy. It's gonna make for a great clip. And I've seen flakes of this reddish stuff. This is the first artifact. And that looks like a flute to me. But do I think this is a Clovis of some sort? No, I don't. I think this is the same thing as those little woodland points that I've been finding, and it just so happens they drove a flake off the back of it because it's material they could do that with. They couldn't necessarily do that too well with the quartz. But it's darn interesting. It really kind of hurts that that's not complete. I've really been looking for an artifact made out of it. I knew they were working it. So I would put that as a woodland, early woodland. Pretty material. Everybody knows what that is. That dark reddish material. If anybody knows what that is or has an idea maybe where that comes from, I sure would like to know. It's a good find though. Let's take a good close look at this artifact. Now, I believe it to be a chert, and it's just not a chert that I'm familiar with. This is the type of chert that I am familiar with. It's a Knox chert. Most of it is this nice dark gray. Some of it can be mottled, and if you look closely, see that bluish color? Every now and again you run across a piece that almost looks blue. And then it goes to this lighter gray. And this right here, I just don't know. You haven't seen this piece come out of the dirt. You're about to in just a second. I actually found a second artifact made out of this reddish stuff. I'm not exactly sure what was going on with that piece, but man, I wish it was whole. I talked about it being fluted, or it having what looks like a flute. Now, what I'm talking about is this big scar right here that runs up the length of the artifact. The reason why that gets artifact hunters excited is that some of the oldest known artifacts that we can find are fluted points. A flute is a single flake that is taken off of an artifact to thin it so that it can be easy to haft onto a handle or a shaft. And stuff like the Clovis point is most of the time fluted. But we can't really call that a flute. I think what we're looking at right there is something called basal thinning. So the base of the artifact, they're trying to get it nice and thin so that it can be hafted. Same idea, oops, sorry about that, same idea as fluting, but a totally different process. And I think the clue is right here in the fact that we have one flake, 2, 3, and maybe even 4. So 4 separate strikes to thin this thing. On the other side, same sort of deal. We have at least 2 strikes. So that's called basal thinning, multiple strikes. A true fluted point has 1 strike. It's incredible. Took an unbelievable amount of skill to strike that artifact so perfectly that it drives 1 single flake all the way up the length. And I'm showing you some pictures right now of true fluted artifacts. And I've just never seen an artifact that had anything even close to resembling a flute, so it really caught my attention. But I think that's just something called basal thinning, and I really don't think it's even that old of an artifact, because this same garden site has produced multiple of this type of point, all made out of quartz so far, except for this. I think they are the same point type from the same time period, just a different material. So what I need help with is identifying that material. And why do I want to know? Well, I know it's not native, and if we can identify the material, we might be able to identify a source. So that would be part of the story. Did this rock travel from Alabama or Mississippi or Georgia? Another possibility is that this material is something similar to this, but is heat treated. And Native Americans would heat treat their chert sometimes. That made it easier to flake. So heating the rock changes the composition somehow, makes it more easy, the flaking more controllable. I don't know if this stuff being cooked in a fire, heat treated, changes its color. I don't know that answer. But it's a possibility. Or it could be a completely separate type of chert. I'm really hoping some of you guys will put me on the right path. I just haven't found anything online that will help me get the answers so I can kind of complete the story of these cool little artifacts. So if you know, leave me a comment. Well, I just picked that up. Little blade. And right over next to it is that. I honestly can't tell if that's worked or natural. Oh, gosh, that hurts. And that is all natural. All right, we'll take the blade though. Now check this little piece out. Look how thin that is. At first glance, you just want to call that a flake of chert. But look a little closer. You see all the individual flakes that have come off of that on both sides. That's actually a little tiny point, at least the base of one. Just the tip broke off there. And I mean, that is so thin that it's translucent. I'm gonna find you a flake of this material, just a flake, and you'll see the difference. Very cool. Well, I haven't found your flake for comparison yet, but we gotta take a little stop because I got something right there, and it's complete, and it looks pretty. Look at that. Another nice Mora mountain point. Man, I love a complete point. They're hard to come by in a garden, so you really appreciate them when you get them. Yes, sir, that is a nice little Mora mountain. Might even have a little red color on this side, hard to see. We'll know better when we wash it off. All right, there's a couple flakes for comparison. You can tell it's got a little waviness to it, but it's one solid flake. Same for this little guy. One flake. Now, look at it with this one. And you can see the multiple flake scars. Alright, that's the difference between a flake and an intentional tool. This one on the back does actually have a couple flakes in one area. So originally that would have been the outside surface of the stone, and a few flakes were removed off of it before this entire flake was removed. So it does have a couple flake scars, but again, nothing like that. Check out the pretty Mora mountain. Gosh, it's a pretty little point. Look at the colors. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, hope you learned something. I know I did. Well, look what I just found. That is the exact same material that point was made out of. That's some of that red stuff.